On behalf of Rogini College of Engineering and Technology, myself Y.JUSTIN Leo, Assistant Professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering, I welcome you all for this Basic Civil and Mechanical Engineering course. And the course code is B8252 for the regulation 2017. So here in this video session, we'll be studying about Unit 1, Scope of Civil and Mechanical Engineering. In that, we'll be studying about the overview of mechanical engineering. So the syllabus is given like this, and the objectives of studying this basic civil and mechanical engineering is to impart basic knowledge on civil and mechanical engineering and to familiarize the materials and measurements used in civil engineering, to provide the exposure on the fundamental elements of civil engineering structures, and to enable the students to distinguish the components and working principle of power plant units, IC engines, and refrigeration and air conditioning system. So coming to the Unit 1, that is the Scope of Civil and Mechanical Engineering, and the first part is overview of civil engineering. The students will be studying about the civil engineering contribution to the welfare of the society and the specialized subdisciplines in civil engineering like structural, construction, geotechnical, environmental, transportation, and water resource engineering. And coming to the overview of mechanical engineering, the students will be studying about the mechanical engineering contributions to the welfare of the society and the specialized subdisciplines in mechanical engineering like production, automobile, energy engineering, and interdisciplinary concepts in civil and mechanical engineering. So in Unit 2, that is the students will be studying about the civil engineering, that is surveying and civil engineering materials, and they will be studying about the objects, classifications, principles, measurements of distances, angles, leveling, determination of areas and contours, examples, and civil engineering materials like bricks, stones, sand, cement, concrete, steel, timber, modern materials. And in Unit 3, that is building components and structures, they will be studying about the foundations, that is the types of foundations, that bearing capacity and settlement, requirement of good foundations, and the civil engineering structures. They will be studying about the bricks, masonry, stone masonry, beams, columns, tintals, roofings, floorings, plastering, floor area, carpet area, and floor space index. And they will be studying about the types of bridges and dams, water supply, sources and quality of water, rainwater harvesting, and they will be studying about the introduction to highway and railway. And coming to the fourth unit, that is section C, that is they will be studying about the mechanical engineering. So Unit 4 is internal combustion engines and power plants. In this, they will be studying about the classification of power plants and internal combustion engines as automobile power plant, and they will be studying about the working principle of petrol and diesel engines, 4-stroke and 2-stroke cycles, and the comparison of 4-stroke and 2-stroke engines. And they will be studying about the working principles of steam, gas, diesel, hydroelectric, and nuclear power plants. And they will be studying about the working principle of boilers, turbines, reciprocating pumps, that is single acting and double acting, and the centrifugal pumps. And in Unit 5, they will be studying about the refrigeration and air conditioning system, and the students will be studying about this terminology of refrigeration and air conditioning, the principle of vapor compression and absorption system, layout of the typical domestic refrigerator, window and split type room air conditioner. So these are all the textbooks and references for the students for the basic civil and mechanical engineering course. And what would be the course outcomes? So the students, upon completion of the course, they will be able to explain basic concepts of civil and mechanical engineering from Unit 1, and from Unit 2 they will be able to select the materials and measurements techniques used in civil engineering. And in Unit 3, the students will be able to summarize the fundamental building components and the civil engineering structures. And from Unit 4, the students will be able to illustrate various IC engines and power plant system and subsystems with layout. And finally, in the 5th unit, the students will be able to experiment with the typical domestic refrigerator and different types of room air conditioner. So coming to the overview of mechanical engineering, the first topic is mechanical engineering contribution to the welfare of the society. So mechanical engineering, it is one of an engineering discipline, and it is the oldest and broadest of engineering discipline. This combines engineering physics and mathematics principles along with material science in order to design, analyze, manufacture and maintain a mechanical system. So what would be the functions of the mechanical engineering? So the mechanical engineers design power producing machines such as electric generators, IC engines, steam and gas turbines, as well as power using machines such as refrigeration and air conditioning system. And even the mechanical engineers design other machines inside buildings such as elevators and escalators. And what would the mechanical engineers typically do? So they do the following, like they analyze the problems to see how a mechanical device might help to solve the problem. They would design or redesign the mechanical devices by creating blueprints so the device can be built. And they would develop a prototype of the device and test the prototype too. And as a mechanical engineer, they would analyze the test results and they change the design as needed and oversee the manufacturing process too. So the mechanical engineers normally use many types of tools, engines and machines. So they are being listed out here, and you can see the electrical generators, IC engines and steam and gas turbines. And they use power using machines like refrigeration and air conditioning, and industrial production equipments, which involves robots that are used in manufacturing in industries. And they use other machines inside buildings such as elevators and escalators, machine tools and tools for other engineers. And they do also use this material handling systems like conveyors and automated transfer stations. So these are all the following examples of different types of mechanical engineers. The first one is the automotive research engineers. So what would the automotive research engineers try to do? So they try to improve the performance of the cars by working to improve the features, the traditional features of cars such as suspension, and work on aerodynamics and new possible fuels. So automotive research engineers focus on the development of passenger trucks, buses, motorcycles or off-road vehicles. So these automotive research engineers design new products, modify the existing one, troubleshoot and solve engineering problems. So heating and cooling system engineers. So these engineers, also known as a heat transfer or thermal sciences, is an academic specialty of mechanical engineering. And heating and cooling systems engineers develop environmental systems for aeroplanes, trains, cars, computer rooms and schools. So heating and cooling system engineers design test control apparatus as well as equipments, and they develop different various procedures for testing these products. And they even calculate energy losses for buildings using equipments such as computers, pressure gauges and combustion analysis. So next is the robotic engineers, and these engineers is a behind the scenes designer who is responsible for creating robots and robotic systems, and which are all useful for performing the duties that humans are unable to perform, unable to do or to complete. So robotics engineers spend the majority of the time in designing the plans that are needed to build up a robot, and they also design the processes, various processes that are required for the robot so that the robot may run correctly. And through the creations, the robotic engineer would help to make jobs safer, more efficient, easier, and mostly in the manufacturing industry. So next is a material engineer, and these material engineers attempt to solve problems in the various different field of engineering, like mechanical, chemical, electrical, civil, nuclear, and aerospace. And these material engineers, they do this by developing or processing and testing materials in order to create newer materials that would meet certain mechanical, electrical, and chemical requirements. And these material engineers mostly study the chemical properties, the structures, and the mechanical uses of plastics, metals, nanomaterials, ceramics, and composites according to the place of usage. So with this, we come to an end to this overview of mechanical engineering. So thank you and have a